All right, let's get started. Now, this one concerns us all. Electricity. The company that supplies it to our homes, ECG, is currently facing serious difficulties that can make it impossible for it to supply you in the near future. That's because they are indebted to those they source the power from. That's the independent power producers. Now, in recent weeks, the company has embarked on a massive revenue drive to retrieve debts owed by its customers, most of them state agencies and big business. But the company is also not efficient enough, by its own admission, losing a big part of what it's supposed to bring to our homes. And that's the big issue on the Pulse today. We're going to hear from ECG boss, Mr. Samuel Dubik Mahama. We'll also hear from the Energy Think Tank Institute of Energy Policy on the way out of this problem. Plus, your views as well. Let me give you the number right now. Call us 03. We'll put the number on the screen as soon as the lines are open. Don't you worry about that. Right now, though, we can hear from ECG boss, Mr. Samuel Dubik Mahama, who has been speaking to my colleague Samuel Kujo Brace.
We can say we've collected in excess of 2 billion, and we know that this is the final week. This final week, we are pushing very hard. Our intention is to say that, look, we've had a month long. We've been patient for 3 weeks now. This is the last week. There are no longer any more excuses. It's okay. Just pay up so that the company can be made whole. Our intention is to do our best to make sure that we retrieve enough of the revenue so we can build a better company. Our intention is to make sure that we do it right for there to be enough meters for all our customers to benefit from it. So that's the plan that we are on now.
You set out to retrieve some 5.7 billion cedis. You say you are somewhere over 2 billion. You'll be wrapping up this weekend, right? What confidence do you have that you'll be able to meet that 5 billion debt that you were chasing?
So, in truth, this is it's not an exercise that you think you'd be able to finish. No, you can't. But within this short period, we intend to recover enough of it and then now launch a proper and systematic process to continuously close that gap as quickly as possible. There's a possibility that we might even start selling the debt to private institutions to go and collect. It's something that we are thinking about considering, because we are getting to the point where we need all the help that we could get. So if it means discounting it to the necessary company and then getting what we need, yes, why not? So it's something on the table worth considering. So our plan is we'll get as much as we can, and after that we'll sit down, do an assessment of ourselves, and then plan what we are going to do next. Yeah.
But we also understand that the debt that people owe you is lesser than what you owe the IPPs and or the people who help you out in your operations. How do you explain that, and how are you going to deal with that?
So that's a great point. Now, if you are not collecting enough, then what's your story? If it's even less in CD-wise, collect enough so you can shift the burden onto somebody else's doorstep. You understand? So let's say, for example, if the CD to the dollar was 1:1 and we're collecting 100 million, we are apples to apples in terms, but you don't have that in the perfect world that you are in now. So what are you going to do about it? That just collect enough, make sure your collections number and the rate is high enough, and then now you can ask to be given a seat in the room to discuss the way forward on the differences. So as for that one, I'll say when we get to that bridge with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy, we'll definitely cross it. But for now, we have to do what we have to do on our side as a company. And we also entreat the individuals and companies that purchase our product to know that we are at a point where you have to pay for what you have consumed. That's the whole conversation.
But how does the lay mind understand this gap? The gap between what you owe and how much people owe you?
So the gap is clear, because what we owe is in dollars and what we collect in cedis. You understand? So that's a whole tariff conversation about how to close the gap as quickly as possible. Maybe PURC has to start looking at leaving maybe some 2 or 3 or 4 pesos in there for us to close the gap on the CD to dollar ratio, or PURC has to adjust the forex bandwidth. It's all a conversation to be had. But at the end of the day, as a company, I choose to always drop the problem at the doorstep of ECG. If you're supposed to collect 100 and you collect the entire 100 and it's not enough, then you can ask for help. But currently you're supposed to collect 100 and you are not collecting the 100. So how do you even say that it's not enough? You understand? So it's a moral obligation thing for the company ECG to do its best to collect enough, and so it can now provoke the conversation of the gap that is left. Yes.
So is it that we're not paying realistic tariffs and that's why there's that gap?
By and large, yes, because it's not a cost-reflective tariff, because government subsidizes or attempts to subsidize on behalf of the good people of Ghana. But maybe that's a conversation for the future where we have to reconsider and say we have to pay realistic tariffs. So you know what, scrap all of this and then let's apply it, and then maybe every month, per how the forex is moving, we adjust just like the fuel. You understand? If we do that, yes, you can say we are. So that would mean that every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, tariff adjustment. But in the long run, these are all things that we have to look at as a nation going forward.
So today, the Accra Digital Center was cut off because of the debts they owe. After Friday, if these institutions are not able to pay, what happens?
So that's another conversation to be had. But for now, I'd rather not think beyond Friday, but I'll think from now to Friday. Because I'm expecting everybody to do what is right. Whether you have to find the money, whether you have to borrow, please go ahead, do that, and let's close the gap as quickly as possible. After that, we can revisit the conversations on a case-by-case basis.
When we heard the story earlier, Airtel Tigo called that they didn't owe, they had paid, but it was a mishap on the part of ECG. How do you explain that?
You see, at every given point in time, everybody finds it convenient to lay the problem at someone else's doorstep. Did you ask them when they paid? You understand? So you can't just say, when it happened, we came to check and we've paid already. When did you pay? You understand? I don't like bantering with people. Or I don't want to start a problem where it will look like you're actually, in all my deliberations, I do my best not to even mention company names because it's not necessary. You understand? Because if they want to go on that tangent, my other question would be, why do you even have to owe in the first place? You understand? It's a line item on your budget. So let's do our best to shy away from name calling and name mentioning. At the right time, if we have to do name and shame, we will do the name and shame. But for now, let's see it as a holistic approach. Let's do our best and let's push forward and make sure that we close the gap as quickly as possible.
So what should people expect after Friday?
What people should expect after Friday is that the next phase will be targeting mostly the illegal connections and making sure that all of those things are tackled and tackled well. We should note that an illegal collection is you stealing. Because it's not that you have a bucket somewhere and you're collecting the electricity into it. After you've bypassed that, when I come for it, you can take the bucket and give it to me that here's your electricity. But rather, you've stolen. And if you've stolen, you have to be charged with stealing. So everybody should consider this a head start to correct all what they've done. Because when we are coming with the full might of the law, even with the necessary protection for us to make sure that that gap is closed as quickly as possible. Now then, with our standing debt, as I said earlier, conversations are far advanced to find a way to, if we have to sell the debt to generate revenue, we'll definitely sell the debt to generate revenue. We have to be innovative and find a way to see how to get private sector to assist us to close this gap as quickly as possible.
Right, Samuel Dubik Mahama speaking to Samuel Kujubris. Now, by the admission of ECG themselves, part of the problem comes from their inability to properly police the use of electricity. Here is their solution to that particular problem. Well, first of all, that's the size of the problem. 28% of losses, which is about 2.8 billion Ghana cedis every single year. Half of ECG's customers are stealing power or not paying the right amount for power. 10% of the losses are due to power theft, which is pretty much about 1 billion Ghana cedis of losses. Now, 3 out of 5 prepaid and postpaid meters are either not paying the right amount or actually stealing power. 20,000 illegal meters have been found in the Accra East area alone so far. That's a very, very big problem. So let's talk about it, okay? We can hear from you when you call us and share your views in a bit. But right now, we've been joined by research and policy analyst at the Institute of Energy Security, Mr. Adam Yakubu, who joins us by Zoom. Mr. Yakubu, it's a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to your listeners.
Wonderful. So, I mean, let's start from what the ECG managing director is saying. Look, people are not honest. They are either not paying the right amount or not paying at all. They say they are waiting for a bill before they pay. In other parts of the world, people pay their bill every month. Whether they've received an invoice or not, they pay the amount they pay the last month because it's an obligation. They've budgeted for it. How much of this problem is down to people's attitudes, and how much is it down to ECG's inefficiencies? I think you might have muted your microphone there. If you can unmute it so we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear?
Yes, perfect. Please go ahead. Okay.
Can you hear me, Gojo?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, so we need to put the problem in proper perspective. That is the issue of losses. It is put into two categories, that is technical and non-technical. The technical aspects oftentimes are things that have to do with the generation of the electricity. In the process of distribution, definitely some amount of the electricity will be gone. So that it is allowable to some percentage, about between 4 and 18%, that is allowed. But to have ECG doing 28%, that is worrying, in a sense that it means that something is wrong somewhere, both on the part of the ECG's technical side and on the part of payment of whatever is due the institution. And the managing director admitted to this clearly. So who is to blame? We have to blame both the citizens and the management of ECG. I recall in the last interview, the managing director did indicate that they don't even have the requisite number of personnel to man these meters across the country. So clearly that is an admission that they are understaffed. So if you are understaffed, I would expect that there should be an innovative way to be able to police the meters. And on the part of we citizens, it is about time that the ECG undertakes a sensitization drive, to me, to be able to, as it were, educate people to understand that, look, the electricity you are using, it is cost. It is some money that goes into bringing it. So if you don't pay, it will get to a point where we will not be able to serve you the electricity. It's just like when you go to a restaurant to eat. I'm not sure you eat beyond what is in your pocket. You eat according to what you have in your pocket. So when you go beyond your bill, then I'm sure you will be forced to wash the dishes or you'll be marched to the nearest police station. So this particular thing, a lot of users of electricity do not still appreciate the fact that the electricity they consume is supposed to be paid for. And so you have people, I didn't get my bill, so I won't pay. What if your lights were out? I'm sure you would call a technician. I'm sure you would march to the nearest ECG office or the nearest Gridco or Netco office to complain. So it is the same way that you owe some responsibility as a user of the electricity to be able to what? To help the ECG, because it's a human institution. They can't do it all by themselves. So we, the citizens, have a responsibility to play, but management of ECG have to also look at their inefficiencies, in a sense that we can't keep paying for the inefficiencies. Something must be done. The whip must be cracked. If within a month, a bill of about 5 billion has been reduced by half, it should tell you that the loss and revenue department, something was not being done until the managing director took the lead. So you see where we all have a fault, or we all have a role to play. This is what I have to say for now.
Thank you, Mr. Yakubu. Now, let me ask you this. Mr. Dubik Mahama makes an interesting suggestion that perhaps government should not subsidize the tariffs any longer, deregulate the sector, and let people pay competitive prices for the electricity, because the independent power producers, the IPPs, are charging in dollars. They are charging competitive prices for what ECG takes from them. So the suggestion was, just like how the price of fuel goes up and down based on global influences,
dynamic.
Perhaps we should let the tariffs for electricity do the same thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, so clearly that is to call in for efficiency in the sector. We are just not looking at it from the part of the government subsidy. Obviously, when we deregulate the sector, we are likely to get efficiency. We have even called for other independent power distribution companies to come in to be able to make the sector competitive. You know, in Ghana, we have 2 distribution companies that you are either within the NETCO zone or you are within the ECG zone.
Yeah.
These 2 companies, except for the Tema Enclave, where we have another distribution company, but these clearly are the 2 main distribution companies. I'm sure if we are introducing deregulation, it means that we are calling in efficiency, we are calling in private hands to also come in into the distribution. And I'm sure if private hands come in, the private businessman wouldn't wait for you to say that I didn't see my bill, so I won't pay. When you don't pay, the bill is going to go up. It's just like when you go to Europe and some other countries. When you don't pay your bills, I'm not sure you would have light in your house. The bills will go up automatically. And so what even baffles is how can one be operating a prepaid meter and still be owing ECG? A meter that is prepaid. When you don't subscribe, when you don't buy data on your phone, I'm not sure you can access the internet. So how are people able to do this? Some scrupulous or unscrupulous individuals within the energy sector help people get around these things. And until we all come together and fight it, the ECG will keep doing it every year in, year out. This has become an annual ritual. Markets, after Friday, when the deadline is closed, you won't hear this thing until next year. The managing director comes again, they are doing revenue mobilization. I think this should be something that should be done monthly, so that monthly they go down. Institutions have these as line items on their budget. I don't get why you have an item on your budget, electricity, for a whole year you didn't pay. The next year, so where has the money been going to as an institution? And auditors go into these institutions and they audit. They come out with audit reports. We don't see anything. So it is just not ECG not paying, but even state-owned institutions owe the ECG, and that is worrying. So if private hands, like the managing director has called for deregulation, deregulation does not just mean government shouldn't subsidize. He should know that when we say deregulation, definitely he's calling in competition to his sector, and there we'll be able to measure who is doing well and who is not doing well.
Yeah. All right, listen, thanks for that. Thanks for your insights. I'll tell you what I'd like to do right now. I'd love to bring in you, the viewer. I would love to hear from you. Tell us what you think should be the solution. Here's the situation. Prepaid and postpaid meters are pretty much split evenly down the middle in terms of their number across the country, okay? So a very close number of people have postpaid meters to those who have prepaid meters. Now, with the postpaid meters, about half of them are not paying their bills, which means the tariff that we are paying on a prepaid meter keeps going up just to cover the cost of providing electricity for everybody. So the question is this: what is the solution? Should we pay more, a higher tariff, or should those who are not paying for their electricity pay? And how do we make them pay? Should it be somebody's job to chase them, or should they make the payments? I'd love to hear your views. 0302 211 691. I'll say that again, 0302 211 691. Give us a call. All right. Tete is in Nima. Hi, Tete. Good morning. Good afternoon. Forgive me. How are you, Tete? Do we have Tete on the line? We've lost Tete. All right, but you can call us. The number is right there on the screen. Give us a call. We'd love to hear your view on this. What is the way forward? ECG certainly will struggle if we don't pay our bills. But the question is, should we increase the tariff so that those who are paying pay more? Or should those who are not paying be faced with some penal measures that will make them pay? Your view is the one that matters. So give us a call. Okay, Yao is on the line. Hello, Yao. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from the Western North region.
Fantastic. Okay, talk to us, Yao. What are your thoughts on the way forward?
Okay, I heard you talking about those using postpaid not paying, and then those using the prepaid, they have to pay more to cover up the cost of those using the postpaid. And I totally disagree with you. I am not from Western North here. I came to the Western North here to work. But sometimes I see some anomalies in the work of the ECG over here that I think that they have to beef up their operation. The reason why I'm saying that, what I'm saying right now, I have paid a bill for almost about 5 months, and then it has not taken effect on their bill at the ECG office. So when the bill comes, so they have not updated me to the bill that I paid long time ago. So in this case, I will not pay because I have paid a bill maybe of about 1,000 cedis, which is still not showing on my monthly postpaid receipt that I have paid this. Then what does it mean I should pay more? Because if I'm paying and then it is not taking effect on your receipt that I have paid, and you are still bringing me a monthly bill, then there's something wrong with it. And then secondly, there are some meters which are not working over here, but still they do estimated readings and they bring bills, which I don't even understand because the meters are not working and they can bring a bill of about 400 cedis every month. Then I'm not going to pay because let's say I'm staying here alone over here and then I'm paying for almost about 400 cedis monthly, whereby my meter is not reading and I've reported to you, the ECG boss, and you are still not coming to change the meters. How come? What shows that if you bring the bills, I'm going to pay? I will not pay. So I need to set the record straight here that some of the ECG workers need to up their doing because sometimes it is not the customers, it is the workers, or the bosses up there who are doing the mistake. And then because of their mistakes, we are not going to pay the bill. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. You can call us too. 030-2211-691. We're talking about ECG, the way forward, how to ensure that the lights stay on, because as things stand right now, the company is, it's in a very precarious situation. They owe the independent power producers, and they need to get the money from us in order to pay their bills. All right, so call us 030-2211-691. How do we fix this long-standing problem of ECG failing to pay its bills? Joseph is here in Accra. Hi, Joseph. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead, Joseph. We can hear you.
I think we have to blame ECG totally for whatever they are going through. Right? You go to the new site, for instance. They have these meters shared to various houses, which has been installed for months, years, with the promise that after the installation, ECG people will come around to register the meters. You go to places like Kaswa, Ajiankutoku, Amasama area, and then everybody is using the meter free for now. Nobody is paying it. Not that they don't want to pay. ECG is not doing what is expected of them. Right? If the meter hasn't been registered, it is not in your system. How do I pay? I can't pay. I don't know who to pay for. And then secondly, the issue with meter. ECG already is charging for meter charges on every time you buy credit on monthly basis. Why can't they supply every house with meter or every single room or chamber hall with meter? So that at least these single meter charges that they are charging on every meter, when they make the meter affordable to everybody, everybody will go in for meter and then pay meter charges at least for everybody. But this is the case, the meters are there, they are not bringing it. How can I pay 3,000 for meter? So if you don't have 3,000 to pay for a meter and somebody, you get free, push people to go for this illegal thing. They themselves, and they are not employing more people to do what is expected of them. So blame them, they have to sit up. We shouldn't blame them. And secondly, when they get illegal things, the people working in the office just take money. They don't do what they have to do. They just take money and release the people. So who is causing the downfall of ECG? It is themselves. The workers there. The directors are there. They need to have to do whatever you do. If you go to the office, they have to come, attend to you immediately. But it's like you go there, you go and come, you go there, go and come. When you get tired, you do need that. So they should blame themselves.
Thanks for sharing your views all the way from the Western North region. You can do the same, 030-2211-691. What's the way forward? How do we solve the problem of ECG? Which, of course, if they are unable to pay their bills to IPPs, the lights might go off. Nobody wants to go back to that time. So what do? Do we pay more? How do we ensure that those who are not paying, pay? What are the issues that we need to resolve here? Andrew is on the line. Andrew, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Princess Road.
Okay, great. Let's hear from you, Andrew.
Yeah. My problem is how ECG have been bringing in more contractors to work for them to know their secrets and where their installations, big installations and other things are. And later on, you let these people out. Why not take them permanently so that they will be working for you for good? But you let them know all your secrets, all where your machines are. And these people, if you let them go, they will go hungry. And by all means, they know the tricks. So I will plead with you that the boys that you've been bringing in, let them work with you. Now you are telling us that you don't have enough workers. And by installation and taking these contractors to do the installation for you, you let them go. And if I know your secret, I can teach you. So we plead with you that let these boys be a permanent workers for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. That was a call out from Spintex Road. If we have others, we'd love to hear from you. 030 2211 691. We're talking about ECG. This one affects all of us. We all use electricity. Kojo is on the line from Takrady. Kojo, it's good to have you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please go ahead. We're listening.
Afternoon.
Yes, Kojo, good afternoon. Please go ahead.
We should blame all these problems on ECG. Do you know why? Right now, my meter has gotten spoiled. It is no more reading. I use the postpaid, and I've reported to them several times. Now, when they come, they just give me an estimated bill, whereby I'm paying almost about 400 cedis. I'm working in Western region because of work. I'm a public servant. My family are in a different region. In the different region where I'm coming from, I use so many equipment that I pay almost about 70 cedis. That is for the postpaid. Right now, my family are in a different region. I'm here alone working here. And then you give me a bill of 400 cedis, whereby the meter 2 is not working, and you give me an estimated bill of 400 cedis. You think I'll pay? I'm not going to pay, because I've come to your office several times to report to you that the meters are not working, that you just need to come and change it. And you're not coming to change it and give me a bill of one person alone, 400 cedis, whereby most of the time at work, from work to house to work, I don't use any big equipment over here. So do you think I'll pay? No, I will not pay. So do you see where the problem is coming from? So I think the ECG should be up and doing in their work. Sometimes when the customers come to the office and give them a complaint, they should be up and doing and follow the complaints. Well, instead of that, they will be sitting at the offices, and then they will be doing what they want to do. I will not pay. And secondly, when you pay their bills, maybe you can pay about 1,000 cedis or 500 cedis. It will take about 5 months for the 1,000 cedis that you pay at the ECG to reflect on your monthly bill, which comes. When you ask them, they told me they will tell you it is a network problem. So in this case, do you think that I'll pay 1,000, which is not reflecting on my receipt? You think next time I'll pay? No, I will not pay, because I'll wait for the 1,000 to reflect before I'll pay again. So I think usually should check how they work. If not, that they always continue to make losses, which it will affect we the Ghanaians. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you who have called. Now, it's interesting because almost every call we've had is raising issues of faulty meters or a lack of meter. They've been waiting for a long time for a meter to be fixed, or a meter that is not reading. Interestingly, we did speak to Mr. Dubik Muhammad this morning on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM, and he dealt with this issue. Let's hear what he said.
This thing is a big moral responsibility and values fight. We need to stop. We need to stop. Because one of the newspapers tried to do a calculation, but he's not far off. We lose over 1 billion Ghana cedis in illegal connections. Why?
So
And actually, I'm saying it's close because it's more.
You lose more than 1 billion.
I believe strongly we
Per
lose
your
more.
calculations, how much do you lose?
For every percentage lost, for the last calculation I did, is about 100 million cedis.
And you lose what percentage now?
Right now, ECG's losses are at about 28%.
So that's 2.8 billion.
Exactly.
Okay. So you lose.
The international standard is around should be around maybe about 7 or 8%.
So you're expected to lose about 700-800 million.
Yes.
And you lose an additional 2 billion.
Exactly. So we are sitting on something that the conversation cannot just be. Maybe it should be a national discourse thing, because it's getting to the point where the responsibility of the average Ghanaian has a problem. The responsibility has a problem, because nobody seems to realize that this is what makes you a citizen, or this is what actually allows you to have the moral. Look, the same person who has the illegal connection, who has his air conditioning on 24 hours, is the same person who shout, "Oh, ECG," when the lights go off.
Okay, let's wrap things up with our guest who is on Zoom. You've heard what people are saying, raising salient issues, Mr. Yakubu, of difficulties in using their meters. So their meter is not reading. ECG sends them an estimated bill. They don't think the bill is correct, so they don't pay. What would you say to customers who take up that attitude?
Yes. So yes, like we are all saying, we owe the ECG some civic responsibility to help them mobilize these monies. But however, they owe it to themselves some organizational strategies. Like, for instance, it shouldn't take you forever to ask for a meter. Yes, I need the electricity. So if I'm not getting a meter, you are obviously giving me a leeway or an excuse to be able to go and do whatever I will do on the system. And in an era where government is promoting so much digitalization, I still don't agree with the MD's assertion of we cannot track our monies, we cannot track our meters. There should be some technological advancements in the sector. Ghana is not living in isolation. How is it done in the West? We can learn from best practice. Mr. MD, yes, we commend your effort, but we think that you can do more. In terms of postpaid meters, in this era, I don't think we still need those meters in this 21st century. You don't even have the people to man them. Why do you keep using it? So you see, some of the challenges are ECG own created. So
Well,
difficult.
He did say to us this morning that the plan is to replace all of the postpaid meters with prepaid, but they have to buy these meters. They didn't have the money because people were owing them and not paying, so they couldn't buy. So for a year, he said, for one whole year, they had not ordered a single meter ECG.
Yes, so let's assume that from the monies they've collected and they'll collect to the end of by Friday, we hope that that money would go into replacing all these postpaid meters onto the prepaid system. So with the prepaid system, even sitting behind a computer, you should be able to tell how much has been paid at the end of the month, because you know the degrees of payment, because they come in through the electronic payment system. And mind you, when they are doing the revenue mobilization, what they eliminated is cash collection. Human beings are very funny. These officers could go and take their monies, and at the end of the day, what is reported in the office is not what was collected at the gate. And so,
well, they eliminated that. It was a cashless exercise.
Cashless system. Yeah. So the money comes into the system, unless, of course, you a staff is willing to take a risk of paying monies into your name and coming to pay it into which is something no staff would want to take that risk. So that's the technology we are talking about, the ECG in this 21st century, deregulation, technology, and organizational efficiencies are some of the things they will need. And on the part of we citizens, we owe it the civic responsibility to pay our tariffs.
Mr. Yakubu, we can't thank you enough. We appreciate your time with us. And that is Mr. Adam Yakubu of the IES. All right, let's do a few other stories now. The rains are setting in soon. And as we've experienced almost every single year here in Accra, Kumasi, and some other parts of the country, floods are likely to happen. But how do we ensure that it's not going to cause destruction to property and even cost the lives of people?
Resilient communities and reducing incidents of flooding in our country. The government embarked on the 2018 and 2020 National Flood Control Programs. The objective has been to invest in projects that mitigate flood risk while increasing the resilience of our vulnerable communities. From 2018 to date, the government has committed approximately 450 million to the program. And that is the single most significant investment from Government of Ghana funding sources to tackling flooding in our country. Under the National Flood Control Program, 384 desilting projects and 202 drainage channel construction projects were initiated. To date, 370 desilting projects, representing 96%, have been completed, and 84 drainage channel construction projects, representing 42%, have been completed, while 118 are at various stages of completion. Ahead of this rainy season, desilting works have been undertaken in selected flood hotspots such as Kasua, Millennium City, Adenta Sakora, Insachi, Ablekuma, Dowenya, and Dome Railway Crossing, New Legon, Santo, Adenta, Sango, and Naplaja drains. The ministry will continue to engage the Ministry of Finance to raise the necessary funds to enhance the flood resilience of our communities.
Now, the minister also recounted several challenges currently hindering the ministry's efforts, especially the encroachment of wetlands by property developers. We'll learn more about that shortly. But right now, I think we can go across to Zoom and speak to a NADMO representative joining us. George AEC, good afternoon to you, sir. It's that time of year again. Tell us, what exactly is the plan of our disaster management organization for what has now become inevitable, flooding? If you can hear me, Mr. Isik, if you could unmute your microphone for us.
I just unmuted it, yes.
Thank you, fantastic. It's good to speak to you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on Joy News. Yes, as you rightly said, it's that time of the year, and flooding, because of the structural nature of Accra and its plains, and then other major cities, it's become somehow inevitable. And some of the issues chronicled by the minister and yourself, people building on waterway, Ramsey site and all that, it becomes something difficult to manage the flooding situation. And the nature of our drains is also another contributing factor. Having said that, NADMO, you know, because we've not dramatically changed the structure or the engineering of the city, we need to do management and help those who are living in flood-prone areas to adapt to the situation. In the adaptation processes is where we've come out with places we call our safe havens, where we conscientize the people, and then once we've identified some of these safe havens, people can then move there for safety. And when the rains are over, they can get back to their places. Because the alternative is to move all of them from where they are, because we've identified they are not in places that are good for human to be there because of the danger they're exposed to. And so and that is capital intensive, and government must do that. Once that has not been on the table yet, we need to do the alternative of getting them to adapt to the situation.
Right. Okay. Now, look, let's talk about the resource situation, because whatever work NADMO does is based on resources, and we know what happens when there is a disaster. There is always a lag, a wait between the moment of the disaster and the moment when NADMO is mobilized because of resource constraints. Are we taking a different approach this year? Are we trying to do some things in advance so that if we're hit by the inevitable, NADMO's response can be quicker?
Our response quicker, yeah, we try to do pre-positioning. We try to stock our warehouses. But the truth of the matter is your ability to actually manage the situation of the victims depends on the number of people that have been affected directly at any time T. And so if the number vis-a-vis what we have in our warehouses is so overwhelming, then you see the exposure of NADMO, the challenges and the difficulties will be brought to bear. But if the numbers are manageable compared to what we have in our warehouses, we are able to respond appropriately. And you're right, sometimes, you know, the people get a bit frustrated because there's the situation, NADMO, we've gone there, we've collated data, but what to support them to get them out of the situation and then keep body and soul together is not coming. And so they get a bit frustrated. Yes, so that is the situation. But going forward, we've been assured by the finance ministry that in case we have such overwhelming situations, they will be ready on an emergency basis to step in to support us.
As with everything, prevention is cheaper than response. So what is NADMO's prevention strategy as we are heading into this season?
Yeah, that's what I said. One, we try to partner, and I'm happy the minister himself is talking about steps that the Ministry of Works and Housing is taking to dredge, drain, and desilt major drains in the city. That is one sure way to ensure that there's free flow of water in our drains. And two, we also work in partnership with the assemblies to also do same. And then the sensitization of people in identified places that are waterways so that they will be aware of the danger they're exposed to and wouldn't do anything that would put them in harm's way or make them lose their lives or put them in danger. So that sensitization within communities is another way of looking at the matter or the situations.
Now we notice something from one year to the next. Apart from the notorious areas, we find that different areas join the identified flood-prone areas. Every year, new areas join. If you know what I mean, new areas get flooded. Is NADMO tracking any kind of trend, any progression geographically? Are we seeing a certain move? Are we able to predict what the new flooding areas might be this coming season?
What you're saying is very right. It's very true.
Right. It would seem we have some difficulty with our connection to Mr. EC there. He is the communications director of NADMO. He's talking us through preparations of the Disaster Management Organization for the coming rainy season, which is always characterized by flooding in metropolitan areas, Accra, Kumasi, and other parts of the country. We've already learned about their plans to sensitize members of flood-prone communities to ensure they're a bit safer. I think we've reconnected with Mr. AEC now. Can you hear me? Do we have Mr. AEC back? Okay, we're working to fine-tune that connection so that we can hear his views on this matter. Very important conversation, which we will come back to if we get the opportunity to fix that connection. But you know what? It's time for a cup of tea. We'll be back right after this with a lot more on The Pulse.